Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, as Carl said, we do a lot of vendor selection at Woodhurst. We sort of help end-to-end, I guess, with FIs, large and small, a lot of building societies with their end-to-end transformation. So tonight we're actually going to be running a live vendor selection for a mystery. No, I'm joking, we're not going to do that. But I might grill you a little bit on your functionality and commercials, so do stop me if I jump into that. But yeah, I guess just to kick off, I'm keen to get a brief intro from yourselves there. We've already heard a lot about OMS, but so Deepak, perhaps we start with yourself.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Deepak Kohl. I represented Tata Consultancy Services. So Tata Consultancy Services is a global organization. We are headquartered in India, but we are a global organization present in more than 50 countries. And we represent 154 nationalities also among our employees. We are 600,000 employee company, and in the banking financial services space, it's like it contributes to 35% of our revenue. So we are deeply invested into the progress of the banking financial services through our services component and the products. We are going to talk about both the components here today, and very glad to be on this panel with some esteemed guests and friends.
Awesome. Dave?
Good evening, everybody. So I'm from Mutual Vision. Hopefully a number of you in the room have heard of Mutual Vision. We provide, well, we'd like to claim we provide probably the most flexible core banking solution, servicing loans and savings in the UK. And I think we can make that claim from the customers that we actually serve in this space. So we've got around 50% of the UK's building society sector using our solutions. And as you'll all be aware, just due to the unique and flexible products, niche products that they offer, we need to have that flexibility in the system. It's not just building societies that use our solutions. We've also got a couple of neo-challenger banks that have come on board of late that use it as well. And I think our probably USP, our unique position is our mutuality. For those that don't know, we're actually owned by a number of our customers as well. So we're owned by 6 building societies. And that gives us a great advantage because I guess we align our vision, our objectives to theirs as well. We get their insight in terms of what their requirements are. And again, because of that ownership model, it's about reinvesting those profits back into the technology as well. And our system's been in the marketplace for about 30 years now. So that gives us a huge understanding of the sector, the requirements. So we've got that expertise, and obviously we use that on the product design.
Awesome. And last but not least, Paul.
Thanks, Dave. Hi, my name is Paul Sweeney. I'm an architect in Engine by Starling. I suppose I'll have to give you a bit of an origin story just to put it in context. So Starling Bank, I'm sure most people are familiar with it. It's one of the leading digital banks here in the UK. And if I can take you back to 2014, it was started by Anne Bowden from scratch, and she decided that banking was broken to an extent, and she wanted to basically launch a bank that was going to maybe bring a level of transparency and fairness and choice back to the customer. And to do this, obviously, she was going to need a technology to run the bank. And she went out to the market and talked to the various vendors and looked at the various COTS at the time, customer off-the-shelf systems that were available. She spoke to Dell, she spoke to Arca, she spoke to various people. And at the end, it was decided that none of them was going to be able to deliver the level of flexibility and agility that she wanted. So consequently, the platform was built. It was built from scratch. It was built to deliver on I suppose, her vision. And in 2017, Starling Bank launched to join the App Store. It now has over 4.5 million customers. As I say, I think you're all familiar with it. It tends to score extremely highly on all the customer surveys, the reports, and the App Store, etc., which is great. And then what was decided, I suppose, with the technology that underpins it, which was built, that was Engine. And that basically is the platform that was all, as I say, home built by Starling Bank. And the decision was taken back in 2022 that, I suppose, to enable international expansion, rather than taking the Starling brand and opening banks around Europe and around the world, the board decided no, a better approach was to take the technology. And the technology is now available to digital banks and startup banks and existing banks who want to transform all around the globe. And as I said, we actually went live with our first installation, the Romanian bank, just I think 3 weeks ago. They now have over 100,000 customers, but Salt Bank in Romania, we signed up with them I think just under 12 months ago, 364 days from the start of the project now. They've gone fully live, a great success, and I suppose it's vindicated the decision. So while we always had the proof point that was Starling Bank, Engine is out there now running a bank in Romania. We're actively developing with a bank in Australia. We're in active conversation in the Middle East and in North America. So it's been a great success, and I'm here to talk about that and I suppose let you know how that fits in.
Awesome, good stuff. So I'm keen that we touch on the fact that it's called a core platform panel, but fundamentally we've got 4 completely different origin stories, right? We've got a neobank selling the technology off the back of the bank's success, a tech platform owned by mutuals, a consultancy that has leveraged its experience with societies, with other financial institutions, building the platforms essentially for clients and then widening that out, and then CRM for brokers, I guess working your way through the value chain to support lenders as part of that journey as well. So 4 completely different origin stories and sort of structures of organisation, I suppose. One question that always seems to come up and is very rarely answered well, so I'm going to ask it now, is what is your USP? And I'm going to stop you from using words like microservices or API driven or anything generic like that.
I'm pass over. And I'm more than happy to start. I mean, it's relatively easy for us because, I suppose from an Engine perspective, the USP can be summed up in maybe 3, maybe 4 particular. I sound like Spanish Inquisition. We have 4 main weapons, but probably 4 key things. So the first is that unlike some of, and it was referred to earlier, I think in our first conversation, unlike some of the composable models now, Engine is more than just a core solution. It actually is all the functionality pre-integrated that is required to run Starling Bank or to run a digital bank. And that's quite different because, there was a dream sold maybe over the last 10 years about composable banking and the ease of integration, and we take all the best in breed and put it all together and suddenly we have a Superman, etc. And I think a lot of institutions have discovered that it's not that easy and there's a level of complexity and cost associated with it and to maintain it, etc. Now it absolutely works for specific examples, things like origination, but not necessarily, as I say, this idea of building a whole bank. So that tends to be a key selling point when we're talking to clients. Now, we can still obviously integrate particular capabilities onto an existing estate very easily with APIs, but that isn't, as I say, everything is there. On top of that, then, the fact it was built by a bank, people find hugely interesting. And I think that when we were developing, the engineers sat with the operations staff, with the bankers, and it was built for them. And it's a bit like Dale referred to earlier, the expertise that goes into the actual development. So we didn't have a separate company or startup who were looking just to build a product and sell it. This was done to run and to build for, as I say, Starling Bank and to deliver on that vision. And that's been really, really key. The next one, I suppose, and it might sound a bit of a cliche, but the benefits that a managed service and the cloud bring. The resilience, the agility, the scalability. Because it was built when it was built, the timing was just right. So what you have is a true cloud-native, service-based architecture. But what that gives you, if you put all that to one side, is that huge scalability, resilience, agility, backed obviously by the public cloud providers. And they're probably kind of the 3, I'd say, main reasons that when we talk to people, they're very intrigued and impressed by what we have to offer.
Awesome. Dave?
See, there's a good answer to that question.
Yeah, you threw a few of those words in there, but we'll let you have it.
Thanks, Paul. I'm going to talk more about where we are today. I guess for the benefit of the room, we are on a transformation journey, so we're actually redeveloping our core platform. But in terms of where we are today, I guess I've already touched upon it in our introduction. One of our USPs is our expertise, our understanding of this industry, of the sector that we serve. In terms of that sort of target set, so we're targeting the smaller, medium-sized lenders. We're not targeting tier 1, so we really feel that we understand their needs, and we get that not just from our shareholder owners, but also from all customers as real community input into our product design to make sure that it actually meets their needs. In terms of the new solution, and obviously you get the benefits from the modern technology in terms of the composable solutions, but I think both in the future and also now, as I said, our biggest USP is the configurability, the flexibility that our solution and the fact that everything is done here in the UK, so in terms of the product design, the actual development as well, the delivery team as well, the fact that our customers, we can put our staff on site with those customers to help them through the implementation, supporting them through our professional services team, really gives us a bit of a USP in the marketplace.
Cool, awesome. Deepak?
So in terms of the product strategy that we have, I would say that let me introduce you to a couple of the products that we have. So TCS BaNCS, which is part of Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and we have more than 500 implementations across the world, more than 80 countries. We have among our customers medium to large banks. We have among our customers the micro lenders. So there is a range of customers who effectively subscribe to the TCS BaNCS. Then in past few years, we have also effectively looking into the lending market. We have developed the DigiHome solution, which effectively has been implemented in the markets in Canada, in US, and in India. And recently, we have effectively customized the product also for UK, and we are finding a very good response in the market. Some of the lenders have taken a decision to go ahead with us because we effectively bring end-to-end solution capability to them. So it's like they do not have to integrate to different two partners to fulfill their capabilities or their requirements, right from the servicing part to the originations and all the aspects of the core banking and mortgage sales originations, we are able to fulfill that. Then the USP, I would say, the capability to implement it successfully. So we have 200,000 people who are dedicated for banking financial services, and 10,000 people effectively dedicated for these products. And these products we are constantly improving. We have about 1% of our annual revenue is focused on research in the organization, which has translated into 8,000 patents. So effectively, we are always on the leading edge in terms of effectively improving our products. We are involved into the fundamental research about the human behavior, and that effectively feeds back into how we upgrade our products to meet the customer requirements. So that is something that we are doing constantly. We are working with academia. We are working with about 2,700 fintechs to bring the kind of proposition which will meet all the aspects of the customer requirements.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you about those 2,700 fintechs in a bit. Yeah, last but not least, Dale.
Difficult to follow those three. Okay, so obviously we're the new kids on the block, but that gives us quite a few advantages as well. Obviously we are quick to launch. We can come to the market a lot quicker than some of our peers. The red tape is effectively family, so me and my brother and the management team, we can make decisions very, very quickly. But the biggest USP, I would say, is that our whole system from ground up is changeable by the end user. Workflows, stages, tasks, everything, they don't need to come to us. Product updates, product refreshes, product launches. We're there obviously in the background, but we encourage our users, our origination guys, to deal with this all from day one themselves. And that gives really big power because you don't have to wait 6 months to fit into workflows and other demands from your current providers. You can do this, within your expertise, and that's where we train and make this really, really interesting. The other part of the USP obviously is, as I mentioned earlier on, we've got distribution, so anybody coming on board straight away has access to all of those brokers who will automatically, if your name is there and it's got an API link in, or you can transfer a whole case all in one entity, that's going to give you guaranteed business. And you can turn that on and turn it off as need be, turn it on, turn it off, depending on the product sector that you want to go into at that time, whether it be buy-to-let, residential, bridging, and so on and so on.
Awesome. I'm interested, I guess, into how you're finding financial institutions' openness, I guess, to being the ones that make those changes themselves rather than perhaps outsourcing it to OMS.
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, we're still early days, so we're still listening to our clients and our customers. Some of them will have the staff to do it, some of them won't. If they don't have the staff to do it, then obviously we can come to an arrangement and we'll take that on board. But ultimately, they all want to have some sort of control. Yeah. And that, from our point of view, is how can we engage with them, make sure they're happy, put some experts into their own businesses to actually be the forefront of any changes that they need to make, and they can make those changes as quickly as possible.
Yeah, very nice. So yeah, I guess I'm keen to sort of set a bit more context. Obviously very different backgrounds, quite different USPs as well here, but I'm keen to understand what your biggest challenge is today when it comes to implementing, transforming the different areas that you focus on from financial institutions? Happy to go in whichever order.
Well, as I've got the mic. From our point of view, the challenge right now is obviously we're quite a small company. So compared to some of the guys that have been out there a long time, big balance sheets, et cetera, with the new kids on the block, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of elements of us gaining the trust of that person. Like I said earlier on, Market Financial Solutions, we took a year to get them on board. And they're all over the press now. They're growing massively, and obviously they're growing with OMS, which is great for us. As a result, now obviously we're seeing the more people we get onto our CV, the better it is for us. But it's just getting over the line. And then also there is we've always done it this way. It's always been like this, and getting it over the line to actually, well, there is a new way. There is a new way forward. It can be done. It can be simple. It can be more automated than you're doing currently. We can try and, day in, day out, it never ceases to amaze me how many people are working on Excel files to run the back books of a business, and that just scares the hell out of me, especially with the amount of cyber issues that are going on currently. If they get defunct or the corrupted files, etc., you lose a lot of information. So it should be something like ourselves in the cloud, trusted, day in, day out, and that's where data should be stored. So those are two sort of main areas I would say that we're struggling with.
Any of those resonate with you guys, I suppose, or anything to add there from key challenges with the sort of either building societies or other FIs that you work with?
So the challenge, I would say, as I mentioned, the TCS Banks, which is our core banking platform, and a digital layer for like the channels, it is well known. It has been in the market for 30 years. It has evolved. So we find it easy to find the acceptance in the market. But the DigiHome, which is our mortgage sales origination platform, very well integrated with banks, it is fairly new. So effectively, while the solution has been successful in other markets, Canada, US, and in India, and the robustness of solution is like that. In India, for one lender, we are able to, we are processing more than 50,000 applications in a month. So the solution is quite robust. But then when you venture into a new market, which in this context is UK, so initially you have to find that acceptance. So because the lenders, they want to feel, they want to have that satisfaction. Okay, the other lenders have actually relied on this product in this market. So getting introduced into a new market with a proven solution, it is always a challenging, but an opportunity also to look at new perspectives. What is the need of the end customer and the lenders in this specific market? And that gives us an opportunity to further improve our products.
So I guess you're sort of bit of repetition there in that you're new kids on the block coming at it from trying to get a foothold in the market from a different area, and yourselves are more focused on bringing expertise from other markets and translating that into the UK. What about for MV, Dave?
Yeah, and I guess with a number of established customers, obviously the challenge is balancing the needs of all those different customers as well. It's making sure we factor those into, I guess, the roadmap of our particular products. Another challenge we face as somebody who provides, I guess, a full stack solution, so we provide the sort of front end systems as well as the core banking platforms, then we are up against those single product companies that can innovate and move their products forward at a far greater pace. So that creates a challenge for ourselves to make sure we continue to deliver the products that our lenders need to be able to compete. I think on the subject of delivery, in terms of helping to these FIs to modernise, then I think we have to be honest. I think that some of the challenge comes from within the lender themselves and their, I don't want to use the word naivety, but I guess underappreciation, should we say, of the scale of change. And it really is, when you're changing technology, it's not just a technological change, it's actually a business change as well, or as we like to put it, it's business change enabled by technology. And it's making sure that they've actually not just got the budgets, because a lot of them do have the budgets, but it's actually the allocated resources. So especially in some of the smaller societies, can they afford to take those resources away from their BAU activities to actually concentrate on the delivery of a technology solution? And equally, some of the SME knowledge around technology as well as some of the challenges that we face. So.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I mean, I'd echo a lot of what was said there, absolutely. I mean, as Dave was saying, that the whole idea that people are reluctant to change their existing process, and we get a lot of banks visiting Starling Bank to see, they know the story and they want to see how it worked, and they're coming over from various parts of the world to try and understand how it all operates, and they have an idea in their head that they would like to be the Starling Bank of their particular region, which is great. But they don't quite understand, yes, the technology is a huge part of how that's enabled, but actually the way the bank runs and the way the engineering team runs, and I suppose the lack of a border between the engineers and the product and everything else. So it's not just technology, the whole philosophy and culture is different, and sometimes there's an expectation that just the technology will get them there. So there's a certain amount of explaining, learning, just trying to get them, I suppose, to adopt some of those new ways of working. And they can be they can be afraid of it. I mean, we talk to them and we say, yes, we do maybe 20 or 30 production releases every day to the system, every day. And they're used to the idea of like once every 3 months, you take a weekend, you stop everything and you release. And we're saying, no. And we talk to the risk people and some of the CTOs, and they're kind of going, oh my gosh, no, we can't do that. And it takes a while to explain to them and to bring them up to that level of confidence that that's how it works. But again, it's some of those ways of working. I think that's some of our key challenges. That, I think, and then the speed, which probably is the same again with Dale's side of the house, they can't believe how quickly it happens, and often what we've seen is they're not quite ready to move at the same speed. They think they are, they'd like it all in 12 months, but they don't really expect it to happen.
What's your approach to that, I guess, that resistance or that hesitancy and the lack of pace?
Again, I think we're particularly lucky that we have, as I say, as a proof point, we have Starling Bank, and they come to visit, and we do what we call immersion weeks, and we show them how Starling Bank works, how the engineers work, how the call centres work, etc., and how everything operates. And I think that gives them the assurance when they see that, and they see, as I say, the success. I know I sound a bit like a broken record, but it is a great story when we're telling people, and it's that learning piece. And then obviously, similar to what Deepak is saying, we do get heavily embedded during the implementation, so there's that repetitive and consistency. So they see how it works and they understand it, the engineers, and it's not a case of formal backlogs and signed off requirements. Everything is very, very flexible and agile as we develop, and it's a learning curve, I think, is the simplest way to put it.
Awesome. I'm keen to sort of jump into moving on to the theme of partnerships, the different approaches, I guess, across the four of you to building that ecosystem. And a few of you touched on it in the intro around, are you a core with a series of other services bolted on, or are you looking for full stack? What's the sort of strategy, I guess, from each of your organisations and your approach to either building that ecosystem or becoming part of an ecosystem for others?
Yeah, I'll go, shall I? I don't mean to be rude, but I'll keep talking. So I think, as I say, in our case, one of the key selling points is the fact that everything is available pre-integrated. And when I say everything, I mean everything on a platform perspective. So the employee and the back end. The front end, which is really where I suppose the client wants to extend their brand and define their own journeys. That's very much still with the client. We don't deliver that, and origination, I think, is a prime example. So we understand that they're always going to they may want to do it similar to what Starling Bank does, but they may have other agendas, they may have other regulatory requirements, they may have other flows that they need to do. So from that perspective, I mean, we absolutely expect that level of integration. Typically, our service integrators might develop the mobile app, or in the case, let's say, of an origination journey that they want to tailor. So again, we've made it very flexible to be able to integrate at all those points on the understanding they would do that. And similarly, as I say, underneath the covers, there is that opportunity. So things like payment integration, I think Acquired or here, whatever. Different regions are going to require their local payment rails, gateways, etc. So absolutely, all those things are required. And as I say, where there is either a particular skill set or a level of expertise, or for whatever reason they want to maintain their own estate, absolutely we support it, etc. And then, as you said, there is areas that we will not be particularly interested in getting into. So it might be something like, I don't know, security services or treasury or some of the more complex products, or as I say, some of the complex integrations and the broker integrations. They're not something that we're going to want to necessarily reach into, and typically not want to support over time. So I think there's a huge role still for those, I'll call it specialist areas in the overall life cycle.
Yeah. And are you trying, sorry Dave, are you actively looking for folks to fill that front end, for instance, or is it more client-led?
No, I mean, touching on the partnership stuff, so we actively work with a number of partners around the globe, but not exclusively. So I mean, there's particular ones, and it's still a relationship that the client would have with those partners. But we would definitely, I suppose, I won't say dual bid, but when we are talking to the client, we'll explain, yes, partner A or partner B has built this for us before, and they know exactly how it works. But it's not a case of defined pre-integrations. There's an expectation that in a local area they might have an existing relationship. So very, very open from that perspective, both for the product set and indeed for the development and the integrations.
How does that compare, I guess, to MV, Dave, in your approach to building that ecosystem? And you mentioned as well you're going through that transformation yourself. It's obviously very front of mind in terms of where MV's going with its tech stack, with its partners and ecosystem.
Yeah, but we actually started, I guess, a bit of a change in direction probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I think we recognised the benefits that we can get from partnerships, or certainly our customers can get from these partnerships, and allowing them to move forward. So certainly, I mean, I guess the biggest point is the development of our open API technology to allow us and the partners to connect to each other. That's something that has only been developed of late. And then I think everyone in the room will be aware with some of the older technology, it's harder to integrate. So it was important for us to create that layer, and that's something that will absolutely continue as we move forward. It really is offering, I guess, allowing us to offer those sort of best of breed partnerships. And I think the biggest change is something that's happened very recently as well, in terms of we do actually provide some of those, I guess, alternative solutions ourselves, such as loan origination, online banking, for example. But we're now moving to, and I guess this is what a modern technology allows you to do in terms of offering choice. So that's a big change in direction for us. When it comes to selecting partners, given that we are, I guess, a tech house, I think we like to look where our expertise is. So what can we do? I've already mentioned that we're up against those single product companies that, again, are able to move their solutions forward at pace. So there is instances where we make that decision, why reinvent the wheel? Let's just partner with them. Let's let them into the ecosystem. Those decisions will often either be driven by our product team or also our customers as well. So a lot of times they'll come to us with a recommendation of something they'd like to bring in, and we're happy to have those conversations. If it is something we could deliver ourselves, then we will look to. But if we don't believe we have the expertise, then absolutely we will look to partners. Probably the best example of that was the recently announced partnership with Mambu. So in our new core solution, where we are building from the ground up a new cloud native solution, one of the key components of that is the core banking engine. Now that's something, again, our original solution did have a core banking engine, so we could have well developed that ourselves. But when you look at it, again, the likes of Mambu, they'll then be 3 years ahead by the time we develop that core banking solution. So yeah, we just try to take quite a diplomatic approach to again, our decisions on the partners.
Yeah, and I guess that's a really good, coming back to the point around build versus buy earlier, right? That's a really good use case for that decision of actually, let's just go with Mambu for that and focus on the bits that we know and our expertise and form that ecosystem model.
But even on that point, James, again, there's things that we think we can do well, but there's a lot of partners out there that can do it better. So again, we're taking that approach in every single element of the build. What can we do? Where can we get a better end result from partnerships? So yeah, it's just working really well at the moment.
Awesome, good level of flexibility. And Deepak, I'm keen to explore these 2,700 fintechs. And I'm keen to sort of explore that in the context of the different types of partnership that we talked about earlier, because that's a big number, right?
Yeah. As I stated, research and innovation is focus of our organization. So we are involved into the fundamental research where we invest annually about $300 million to we get the patents for those research. And then there is an innovation framework where we effectively work with partners, and we also work with academia. Like in UK, we have partnerships with Imperial College, we have partnership with the University of Glasgow, University of Strathclyde, and Royal College of Art. So we effectively have these partnerships, and then we have the fintech firms, some of them small, some of them large fintech firms. So effectively, we have cultivated a system where we work with these to look at how we co-create or maybe jointly create propositions for our customers. And I'm not here talking in that context of our core products, because we are a primarily a services organization. So there are a lot of scenarios in which we have to meet the customer requirements or the banking financial services institutions. So may have requirements in the regulatory space. They may have requirements in the terms of effectively ISO 2022 implementations or open banking needs. So we effectively bring a lot of these capabilities on board, and we help our end customers in such a scenario. TCS also has Spaceports, which are our physical and digital hubs, innovation hubs, like one of the 14 hubs that we have across the world is based here in London on the 22 Bishopsgate, where we effectively invite some of these fintech firms. We effectively jointly look at what are the business problems and how we can create the solutions to address some of these business problems. So we have an open space where we bring some of these partners, build the fintech firms which effectively intend to work with us. They can search TCS Coin, COIN, and you will find an email address. Effectively, you can write an email and you will get a response with all the details of how to get onboarded onto the Coin framework. Specifically to the bank, our products, which is TCS Banks and DigiHome, we have about 100 integrations with various partners, specifically to meet certain requirements, ISO 20022, open banking needs, document management, OCR capability. So we have those integrations also available.
Awesome. And I guess last but not least, Dale, from your perspective, you're probably looking at it as you're both the customer of an ecosystem in terms of bringing fintechs in to support your platform, but you equally may be part of a core banking ecosystem because you don't have that sort of core ledger yourself. So how do you view the ecosystem model of banking, and where do your strategy take you on that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, well, first of all, I've been in the market now 25 years, and at the end of the day, the customer is still wanting the mortgage in the same process. Probably they got a mortgage 25 years ago. It hasn't really changed that much. What has changed is the way that things are processed, the suitability, the regulatory requirements, and all those sort of things in the background. As a new entrant to the market, we're not going to be building the whole entity. We're going to be partnering with people that actually can complement our offerings and making it as quick as possible. Can we change today? Can we change tomorrow? Can we, rather than having to wait a year to build something, change it, test it, plan that far ahead. Right now we're looking at stuff where there are legacy systems in the marketplace. Obviously, being a broker and myself in the background as well, I'm seeing these legacy systems that are sitting there. They're not changing. There might be different versions of the same system with 20 different lenders, but they're not actually providing anything, moving that customer's journey quicker, easier, and they're getting the same output at the end. So right now, from our point of view, yes, on the origination side, that's our baby at the moment, and we can change things and we can make things as quick and simple as possible. But we have a lot of friends and a lot of partners and a lot of people in the room here that we're talking to day in, day out, which will depend on our customers. What do they want? What are we listening to? What do they need moving forward? Not necessarily the same company is going to work for everybody, since some people have had a bad experience previously. Therefore, we need to be agile enough to bring on company 1 or company 2 or company 3 with the back end from the servicing point of view, or the core banking side, or whatever it needs to be on that entity.
Awesome. That brings me on actually really nicely to the last question from me, I guess, before we open up to the audience, around ideally some practical tips, something that the fintechs in the room can take away for what good looks like. You're all looking for fintechs to form part of this ecosystem, or other vendors. What are you looking for? What are those ideal qualities that you're looking for in those partners?
Okay, so again, from our point of view right now, it's a case of listening. It's more reputation more than anything else. Listening to previous people who have dealt with the companies before we integrate or we have that conversation, or how is it going to enhance our customer journey from start to finish? And that's a case of, there's so much PR, there's so much upfront it all looks good until you actually buckle down into the tech side of it and actually understand what's happening behind the scenes. And also then obviously delivery times. If they're promising 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or whatever else and it's taking 2 years to deliver, that's going to look bad on us as well. So it's a real case of learning our partners, understanding what they can provide, bring to the marketplace. But also from our point of view, we're learning as we go at the moment. And it's a really exciting journey for us because each customer is different. Each customer knows roughly what they want, but what you don't know, you don't know. So actually we're bringing stuff to the table to them as well to help them convert that customer a lot quicker than maybe they were currently because of legacy systems and so on. So it's just getting to know, really drilling down into that individual company.
Yeah, and I guess filtering down the 2,700, what's the nutshell summary of how you
we
pick out the good
appreciate
ones?
each and every idea. The ideas that emerge from some people, I would say some initiatives have started from academic institutions. Some of them have emerged from the industry itself. So we appreciate each and every idea. But effectively, when you are working with those 2,700 fintechs, definitely there is a due diligence process, whether that idea is something that will resonate with customers or there is a need for industry, because we have the contextual knowledge of like what is the demand of the industry. We are working with in the context of UK, we are working with 5 of the top 5 banks. We are working with 5 of top 10 building societies. So we have that contextual knowledge that what is the demand.
Yeah.
So while we are doing the due diligence, we can effectively appreciate an idea. But it's not that maybe some idea, the time may not be there right now to actually take it to customers, but we always cherish. We effectively help them grow some of the fintechs where we feel that the idea is good and maybe it can scale up in a 2 years, 3 years time frame. And then effectively taking it to customers, positioning it in the front of customers is based on the maturity of the idea, maturity of the solution, and how effectively it can provide that certainty to the institution. If we are, it's quite important for financial institutions that when they are selecting a solution, maybe it's from the fintech or a large player, there is a considerable, I would say, continuity for 5 years, 10 years, so that it's not that they bring a solution in their ecosystem and then the fintech or company vanishes from the scene. So effectively, as a responsible partner, we have to do that due diligence before we take it to our customers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Dave, I guess you've touched on build versus buy in that decision. What do you look for, I guess, in those partners to productize integrations and put into the MV ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an easy first answer to that. It's the value. Where is the value in the solution? Again, maybe a bit controversial to say, but I think personally I've seen a number of innovations come into the market where they're almost trying to solve a problem that's not there. So I think it's certainly that there's a lot of challenges out there that we need to make sure that these solutions are delivering. Collaborative working is obviously a huge importance to us as well. We've talked about speed of change. Again, some of the smaller customers don't have the resources or facilities to move at the pace some of these need to in terms of adopting their solutions. So it's very much a gradual delivery of some of their solutions. So I think it's being aware of that. There's obviously a lot of, again, innovative solutions coming to market from newer fintechs as well. So I think they need to be conscious that sometimes it is some of the FIs are actually taking a bit of a gamble there. So it's being aware of that as well. And it's not just concentrate on the now, it's making sure that they've got solid roadmaps as well in terms of longevity. The last thing that we want to do is, and they will probably want to do, is to have these solutions there that are, again, not going to keep pace with either the market or our customers' requirements. So, yeah, we certainly look at longevity, scalability as well as a big factor for some of these fintechs. They have some of the most incredible technologies at times, but again, can they scale as our customers need to grow as well?
Yeah, all really important. And Paul, yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree wholeheartedly with nearly everything I heard there. I mean, particularly as you say around the longevity, the fact that they're going to be reliable, they're going to still be there. But I think, at the risk of maybe being cliched, without a doubt, one of the most important things from an Engine perspective is that cultural piece. And I'd say, I know I'm going to be accused of going, culture. But the truth is, I mean, there is a philosophy in Engine that came from Starling about making banking better and the way we work and the way, I suppose, that we respond to customers. It's not just about identifying a fintech that wants to get the money and get out, or somebody who's not going to be there, or has a different approach and attitude. And I know it sounds a little bit, apple pie and whatever, but the truth is we really only engage heavily and work heavily and partner with people who have the same, as I say, cultural outlook to how the work is delivered, the importance of it, where the client is and all that. And I mean, while absolutely everything we've said is relevant in the due diligence sector, that would, I think, be the really important point, because no matter how good they were or how whatever, I mean, back to whoever it was that said it, Bill Gates, no pricks, right? Okay, I'm sorry. We're not doing it
Yeah, really important addition. I guess thank you very much, guys, and keen to see if there's any questions from the audience for our panel. Yeah, you have to shout.
When you go live with a client with Engine, does the client typically need a relatively large engineering team? You talked a lot about engineering capability and ways of working, or can you run it as a managed?
It's a very good question. No, it is a fully managed service. So from the Engine side of the house, it's absolutely hands off as far as the the client is concerned. I mean, it is literally, we run it, we manage it in their AWS or in their tenant region, wherever it might be. The implementation challenge, though, is around some of the integration points. And as I say, so typically the journeys, the mobile app is built as part, obviously, of the initial delivery. But once it's built, it's there. And that it continued to be maintained by the client. But once it kind of hits, I suppose, the borderline where it comes into Engine, they don't need to worry about it. We look after everything from the monitoring, the security, etc. Obviously engaging with them and having a full service model there 24/7 in place. But literally, it's hands off from their perspective. So they don't really need to know. It is black box kind of from that perspective.
Awesome. Any other questions from the audience? Right at the front.
Partnerships becoming diluted. We've talked about positive aspects of partnership. Obviously, what happens, I guess, looking at the other aspect of it, is when a partnership no longer serves you. What's a good practice of sort of dealing with partnerships in an agile fashion, so that actually you can achieve the right outcomes for your business and continue to have kind of good relationships at the same time in partnerships?
Who wants to take that one?
I'm conscious I've been talking, but
Take it.
I will. I'm going to use a Starling stroke Engine example. So since Engine was developed, in its first, I suppose, incarnation, or its initial incarnation, there was, I suppose, a number of partners for particular capability, things like the card management or the card processing, also for the call center, etc. And then over time, it was elected to replace them actually with self-builds because they weren't delivering the level of service or reliability or indeed just the quality that was expected by the call centers or by the operations team. So basically, what happened was that a solution was built in parallel and then was switched over in time and migrated across. I mean, there was no, I suppose, I mean, the contract itself or the partnership itself came to its logical end and just wasn't, I suppose, redone for the following period. It was as simple as that. But I mean, so that's, I suppose, from a technical perspective, how we would have done it. It's literally a case of we just no longer needed that one. We felt we had a better solution and went with that. So it's, I wouldn't say it's brutal. It's just it made for better business sense and indeed for customer sense.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I'd add to that is just the fact that in that scenario, it's just making sure that ultimately the partner and the supplier work together to ensure that the customer, the mutual customer, are not impacted by the result of the ending of that partnership. So,
awesome. Any final questions at all? Good stuff. A big round of applause for our 4 panelists, please.
Thanks a lot, James.
Awesome. Cheers, James. Thank you.
Thank you.